I'm hearing more and more people say our country, America, is in crisis. Our democracy is burning to the ground. And I really began to meditate on that and say to myself as I look in the mirror in the morning, if that's true, then what is my response? And the reality is my response will be the same response as it has been for the last 20 years. And that is serving as if my neighborhood is in a crisis. And now that this reality is becoming more and more apparent because we're sort of being forced to watch it play out right in front of our very eyes. But some of us have already known that America is in crisis. Some of us have already seen it and experienced it. Because at some point, you know something has to give. That at some point, the chickens has to come home to roost. Is that what we're seeing now? It's possible. The reality is that our dear brother Malcolm said it years ago, and he was criticized for his timing. But how else should we look and view what took place January 6, 2021? An overwhelming contingent of hate. People essentially desiring to steal an election. And here we are, been fighting for our civil rights, fighting for voting rights for over 60 years. And in many ways, we're still not free. We still have to watch from the fringes as our neighborhoods are destroyed. But what do we need in these times of crisis, this time of tragedy? I think back to Frederick Douglass, who tried to really help us understand that power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. But see, that talk is deemed too radical. And so we have hundreds, if not thousands, of tent cities all across this country. Funding that could easily go to help gets diverted in many cities and many neighborhoods. But what is the solution? And I think what I've come up with really made me have hope. Not the kind of hope that says I'm free in the moment, but the kind of hope that says maybe one day we will be free. And I might not see it in my lifetime, and that's okay. I mean, who am I to think that I deserve to see results? The great black thinker James Baldwin once said, to be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage almost all the time. So relatively conscious leads a person to be in a sense of rage, sense of anger over the unfairness that we see over and over and over again. But the reality is that at some point we have to get past the rage and start looking at solutions. And that's where I've been trying to gear my mind towards. Because Dr. King was angry and fighting against the system. We seem to try to portray him as a person and try to portray the movement as this movement of a group of Uncle Toms. But the reality is that we were dealing with educated black men who had attorneys, but they were also willing to show up, advocate, and get arrested, and be beaten, and be sprayed with water hoses, and be bitten by the German shepherds. That was the civil rights fight.